press start.
All right, well, let's go ahead and start episode 91 after that nice pause. That gives me a second to see in the audio where to start things.
To actually start.
To actually start the episode.
Sure.
My name is Tim. Joining me, of course, is Dan. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Baba Booey. I'm good. How are you?
And Jeff is here as well. Hello, Jeffrey.
Hello.
By the way, I was trying to...
knocked?
We have a road near us
Chris-
called Woodman Drive, or is it Woodman
That's mine. That's my
Boulevard?
drive.
And my phone kept autocorrect. I was trying to tell my wife which McDonald's I was going to pick up food for the kids on the way home, and it kept correcting it to Woodman. So I blame you, because Apple knows that we spend way too much time all in the same group chat together.
Sure.
And it's pretty sure I'm trying to say Woodman, and I wasn't. But anyway, it is what it is. What can you do? By the way,
Thanks, Jeff.
quick thank you to have to at least give some love to the wife for giving up this time on our anniversary. 17 years of being married, and
Wait, today?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, a very stunning and brave of her.
Very stunning, very brave, pretty fantastic. So, but she knows that I had to miss last week because we had a horrible outbreak of sick children. I was gonna just say children, but just let's say sick children, and so we had a lot to deal with together last week. And hey, if you can make it through that, you can make it through anything, kids. Just know
that sounded like a tornado of nightmares.
It was everything. It was every reason that people who don't have kids will be like, yep, that's why I don't have kids. Like, it was all of those things. So, but anyway, we're back now. We've got some headlines to talk about. We've got 20 questions that we'll see how we do. I think Jeff and I can handle it. Derek might be joining us later if he's able to get back and get online. I know he's got stuff going on. And then Kyle was supposed to join us, but some travel plans changed, and he's going to have to get up at the absolute butt crack of dawn. So he needed to go to bed. Not even dawn, way before dawn. He's going to be getting up way before the sun comes up. So,
R.I.P. Kyle.
So, but even though Kyle's not here, we're going to jump in with our first headline. This is kind of like in honor of Kyle. Let's just say this is in memoriam, since he's dead.
He's obviously dead. That's what not being here means.
IGN put out a list of the best Star Wars video games ever, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it. I haven't looked at it yet. I just saw the headline and clicked on it. I've got the tab open. I'm going to go through it and see what you guys think. So it's not really news, but it's more of like, let's see what IGN's staff. And I think the way they rank them is similar to their game of the year. They kind of get in a room and they debate and they whittle them down, and they probably like we do with our game of the year stuff. So anyway, here we go. Number 10, Super Star Wars Return of the Jedi on the Super Nintendo from 1994. I remember this game.
Sure.
Side scrolling.
That one's popular.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I
don't think I've actually ever played that one, but I know it's good, popular. So.
Yep, I played that one a little bit. Star Wars Dark Forces 95. This was a PC game.
Okay.
First-person shooter, very kind of Doom, Wolfenstein style a little bit.
Sounds original.
Yeah, Star Wars Dark Forces. I remember some of the other Dark Forces. I don't think I played the original one though. But it introduced Kyle Katarn. I do remember that. And he's the guy who headlines some of the other games like Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast. He's a main character in those. Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2005. Now this one I did spend a lot of time playing because not only did you have all these playable characters, you could be Darth Vader, which was awesome, but also it had this multiplayer mode where you actually had space battles, but then you could land on a ship and then go take over the ship. Like, it was really fun.
Yeah,
like, that game was awesome. So Battlefront 2 is at number 8. Number 7 is Republic Commando. I never played this.
I can picture the cover art in my head. Like, that one's pretty distinct, but I never played that one either.
Yeah. Jeff, did you ever play Republic Commando?
No, I can guarantee you I didn't play like more than half these games.
This one kind of looks a little bit Halo inspired. If you look at some of the screenshots, it's from 2005. I know it reviewed well, and it's got a lot of fans. So I know this is a favorite. It came out on Xbox and PC back in 2005. Number 6 is Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen Order. I was hoping that one would be higher, to be honest with you.
Deserves to be higher, yeah. I mean, but again, I've only played like 3 games or something for Star Wars, so
that's fair. That's fair. I like this game a lot. It's my favorite from that year. Rogue Squadron 2 for the GameCube, Rogue Leader.
Sure.
So
people do love that one.
Those are very well loved. I played the first one, I think. I feel like I've played Rogue Squadron. I don't know if I played
that one was N64, right? The first one, I believe.
I feel like that's the case. That's probably why I played it. GameCube was a system that I never actually owned. I borrowed one for a couple months one summer, but I never owned one. All right, so that's number 5. Number 4 is Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. This one I can confirm is awesome. This is where you get to be Kyle Katarn. He starts the game with some crazy stuff happening, and then he needs to go and kind of relearn all these Force skills that he's kind of suppressed the Force, as it were, so he has to get retrained, which is the video game's way of allowing you to unlock skills throughout the game, basically. But it's super fun, and by the end, you're just throwing Force powers all over the place, and you can go dark or light. You can use lightning or push or pull and choke and all that stuff. It's pretty amazing. I love that game. Lego Star Wars is at number 3. The complete
come
saga.
on. Really, the Lego ones? I mean, I would give Fallen Order a higher grade than the Lego ones. Like, come on.
So would I.
Yeah, they're really fun. They don't deserve. And again, this is coming from an uneducated background, but those Lego games are really fun. But I would never put them in any top 10 list anywhere, unless that list was best Lego games.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Or it's like
best kid game,
best bad games. I don't know how to describe it. Like the Lego games aren't like good video games in terms of,
they're just collectathons, right?
Systems. Like, no, yeah, it's great collectathons, unlocking characters, and it's silly. It's just good, silly kid fun. But I don't know if it'd be number 3 for me personally. Star Wars TIE Fighter is a PC game from '94. I don't even know what this is. Their description is it's still the best game about the Empire ever made. Sequel to X-Wing. Cast you as a TIE pilot. So there you go. You're on the Empire side in that one. I never played it. And then number 1 is Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, okay.
It's the number 1.
Not even 2 at all. They just don't even acknowledge 2.
Yeah, it's not on their top 10. Lego had to make it. So
sacrifice had to be made.
Interesting. Not like a bad list, but I feel like some of that was people wanting to include games that aren't popular. Like some of those PC games, I'm like, really? Sure. Dark Forces is one of the top 10 Star Wars games ever made. I don't know about that, man. But maybe it is.
I'm confused as to why the best Star Wars game isn't on the list. Dragon Age Inquisition? No?
That's why they did the open areas perfectly,
Right, absolutely. I mean, like, come on, Lego beats Dragon. Come on.
Yeah. So there you go. There's IGN's. Hey, this is IGN's list. All right. If we did this list, if we let Kyle lead the way in making a list, I feel like ours would be different. Although some games would make the list.
Ours would probably be better and would be accurate. So
it definitely would be. All right. Well, let's talk about some actual headlines here. This one's one of my favorites, and I know Dan, you added this. Jeff,
yeah, I just didn't add the extra stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is so funny. So Ridley Scott, his most recent movie, The Last Duel, which I've heard is a good movie. Jeff, you saw it, right?
It's great.
So I've heard it's good. The reviews are good. It just didn't blow the doors off when it comes to the box office numbers. Okay, and I probably would have guessed that even if you didn't have COVID going on and all this. Like, it didn't look like the kind of movie that was going to be a huge box office like blockbuster. When I looked at just seeing the trailer, I was like, this looks like a well-made, well-acted, all that. It looks like a really good movie, and I would not have guessed it'd crack any top list for the amount of money that it made. It just didn't look like that kind of movie. But he's still mad about it because apparently it bombed. And his quote is that it's because, and he's blaming audiences brought up on effing cell phones. What does that mean? Like, what is he saying there?
I don't know.
He was being more specific. He said he called them millennials. He means millennials.
He said millennials?
He said millennials.
Yes, he did. It's the millennials that only look at Facebook all day.
I mean, is there a more boomer thing to say than to call millennials?
It is the most justified reason to just say, okay, boomer.
Are we sure that wasn't a typo? Like, he definitely, I don't know.
No, he said he was talking to, it was on Marin's podcast.
Oh, okay.
Millennial.
And before he said that, he said he was happy with the marketing campaign, and I don't know how he could be. Unless he wasn't paying attention to it, because it was pretty abysmal. It was not good. It was not a good marketing.
It's one of the coolest movie posters, though, with the sword and like the silhouette. I thought the movie poster was.
The trailers were cool too, with her eye kind of like with her scene where she's like testifying.
That was really good, man.
It's a really good movie. It's a Rashomon type movie where it's like 3 different perspectives told like in a different order and stuff. And
I mean, let's be honest. It definitely COVID, I think, had affected it, but it's combined with the fact that like barely any marketing. Like,
but what's he saying that it's millennials' fault? What does he mean? Like because
he's confusing millennials for Gen Z.
Okay, but
like,
what's he saying?
Millennials are like our
not
age and have
interested in
kids
this?
and debt.
Right.
So it's not. He's thinking of Gen Z people on TikTok that don't give a crap about medieval movies.
Sure. Just like the super
Okay,
young
so that
crowd,
he's saying that they're not interested in this genre. That's what he's saying.
I think that's what he's trying to say, but he's just he's like 80 plus years old, so it makes sense that he has this opinion. It matches his age.
Scott is up there, man. He was already old when he was doing Gladiator back in 2000, so he's not young.
He's been
I
doing
didn't
this a long
actually know
time.
what his age was. Wow.
I mean, Alien was 79, and that was his movie, and so he's been at it for a really long time.
Yeah, it's no wonder all these newer like Alien universe movies are all like people are kind of like, I don't know about that, Ridley. I don't know.
Ridley Scott is 83.
83. Wow.
He's 83. So it's not that that movie was bad. It's just, dude, it's not the right. You can't blame an audience that you're not even targeting. Was your target audience Gen Z?
And also you gotta can you Google what audience you're talking about? Because millennials are they have debt now, they have jobs, they have wife, kids, or husband, wife, kids, whatever.
Some millennials are grandparents already.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, what are you talking about, bro? We're all 30
I think it's just like kind of the general the millennial. It's just like this blanket statement, and it's like he's just
it's a very like Tim said, it's a very boomer statement because that's how you know that they have no idea what they're talking about. Is they just go millennials, and you're like, well, that's not an accurate portrait at all of what's going on in today's
not
youth.
the right age group.
Not at all.
You misspelled it. Like, all right.
Or whatever's after Gen Z, I would even say. What age group is Gen Z?
I remember there's an episode of King of Queens where Arthur is trying to get these Kobe steaks that Doug and Carrie have.
So that sounds familiar.
And so he's trying to I forget what happened, but somehow he's trying to fake that this thing is a Kobe steak. And so Doug says something to the effect of well, I forget exactly what the joke is, but it's something to the effect of, well, this isn't steak and you misspelled beef. It's one of those moments where it's you got all of this wrong.
Sure. Dude, that guy's crazy.
Yeah. All right.
Character.
So sorry, Ridley Scott. You make good movies. You just don't have good takes on the reasoning for their success or lack thereof. That's all.
Despite this, I still saw House of Gucci. I'm not going to talk about it this pod. There's no reason to talk about it in this podcast. But I mean, he still makes great movies. Wait,
he did House of Gucci too?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
Adam Driver's in that one too. Yeah.
Dude, that is 2 pretty major movies to release within a month of each other, basically.
Yeah. I don't know which one was delayed. I'm pretty sure House of Gucci was always going to come out in the winter award season of this year.
He's got some
Last Duel might have been delayed.
Adam Driver love going there. It is interesting when certain directors just latch on, and sometimes it's just for a couple of movies in a row, but they'll latch on to a certain actor for a few movies. Of course, Scorsese did it with a few different actors.
Sure.
DiCaprio was one of that happens, and it's interesting when that happens.
And I get it. Adam Driver's freaking amazing. So
yeah, man. I didn't know how good he was till I saw Logan Lucky, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's got weird range. He can do. He's all over the place."
Dude, his background is crazy. He came from the Marines. He he just stopped being in the Marines, and then he just became an actor. I think he had some schooling in it.
Even did a TED Talk about that.
I think he's classically trained. Yeah.
He did a TED Talk about going from serving in the armed forces to Hollywood. But
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, Epic Games has acquired the Rock Band developer Harmonix. But don't worry, guys. The good news is they're going to be working with Epic to create musical journeys and gameplay for Fortnite.
Well, I hate everything about that sentence. Literally every single word I can't stand.
So because I like the Epic Games Store on PC and I get their free games every week. I love the store experience. I think it's pretty smooth. I like the layout of it. I like Epic Games. And so when I heard that, I just thought, oh, cool, they're going to be putting Rock Band and some of the Harmonix IP on their Epic Games Store, and they're going to be promoting that. But as soon as I saw the statement about how oh no, we're excited to team up with Epic Games to create content for Fortnite, I was like, oh crap. Now they did say that they're planning to continue support for existing titles like Rock Band 4 and Fuser, and all their current games are going to remain available where they are currently available. It's just they're shifting their future focus, it sounds like, at least for now, over to Fortnite. So
that is a bummer, but you know what I actually would love, because Epic is just like literally swimming in cash, or as John Ralphio would say, flushed with cash. To actually remake instruments, like start the production, like redoing the
make them available again.
The instrument controller instruments, so we can actually all play them. Because if you're trying to look for like any of the instruments or like the bundle for Rock Band 4, like on eBay or something, it's like hundreds of dollars.
You didn't read the press release that Harmonix did you?
What?
Just the key statement about the working with Epic to create musical journeys for gameplay for Fortnite. I didn't read the whole thing.
That was the last thing they said. In there, they had a Q&A part, and one of the questions was, "Are you going to be coming out with more musical instrument controllers?"
Oh.
And they said no.
No?
They said no. So,
okay.
yeah.
Well, my dream
I don't know why you would get a buyout, like bought out by something as huge as Epic Games that has millions of dollars, and not ask them, can you help us make more peripherals for Rock Band?
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Like, I mean,
it doesn't have to be like an abundance, just like kind of like a little bit, just so people can try to get their hands on it. Like, gross.
Agreed.
Gross.
Well, there is a rumor that this big PlayStation remake that has been kind of floating out there in the ether for a while could be Chrono Cross. And I know that sometimes those rumors float out there and they end up being nothing, but there's something to this one. So the report is that it's in development for multiple platforms, not just PlayStation, although it was a PS1 exclusive. Right. And I love this game, by the way. I still have it on I can play it on my Vita, I believe.
I have the original copy somewhere.
So, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. But I can play it on the Vita, which I still love my Vita for playing PS1 games. It's my favorite place to play PS1.
This looks terrible. Moving on.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that PlayStation 1
that's
cartridge.
The original. That's
looks
the original
awful.
Deal.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna punch you so hard. I'm gonna punch you so.
Yeah, I love the way Sony did it, by the way, because on your shelf it could look nice and neat right beside your CDs. Oh, yeah. Your CDs and PlayStation 1 games could all be.
I'm gonna cut you, Jeff, with this not scratched PlayStation 1 game. That's how good I take care of my games. PlayStation 1, no scratches.
So, of course, this was listed in that NVIDIA database leak back in September we talked about, where they pretty much said the list is real, but a lot of the games on there are not. They're either not real or not confirmed. This was on there. But there's a bunch of other reports. I won't go through all of them, but there's a lot of little pieces. A lot of it has to do with the music. Specifically, for example, the person who performs as Ava, I heard she's a folk singer. I won't even try to pronounce her name. So she told this radio station in an interview that she had recorded an Irish language theme for a game which had yet to be revealed. And according to Xbox Era co-founder Nick Baker, that is Chrono Cross Remaster, because apparently it matches up with the music that's in that game. Same thing with this, let's see, the composer, I'm going to take a stab at this name, Yasunori Mitsuda, tweeted a picture of McGlynn and his daughter preparing to perform music remotely. So they were getting ready to, I mean, this is the composer of Chrono Cross. Like, that's his biggest claim to fame, is that one. Or that's one.
It's funny that you went with the first name of the folk singer and not the last name, because the last name is just McMahon.
Oh, I just glanced. I just glanced, you're right. Folk singer McMahon.
Because that first name, I got no idea. This
is one of those things that could end up being nothing, but the more that you see these different pieces come together, and where it's like, yeah, they're probably working on it, and it is a very popular game, so I think it's happening.
I mean, so Trigger is definitely more popular, like I would say overall. There's definitely
a better game, but
I mean. Yeah, I mean, probably. I mean, Chrono Cross is not a bad game whatsoever.
It's great.
It's just definitely different. Because like the actual mechanics and sort of the approach to like the story and meeting characters is, like I had said in our chat, it's actually more along the lines of Suikoden. You're actually recruiting like a bunch of different characters, and you can miss characters if you don't do certain
terrible
things.
and un-American.
Dude, you would, Jeff, you would love the Suikoden games.
I doubt that very much.
I'm just not gonna believe anytime you say anything's terrible, because you said that about Unpacking, and then there you were gushing about Unpacking. So you're just a nonsense human being, all right? You're a nonsense cartoon character. That's what you are.
Unpacking felt very American. That's why I liked it.
It was very American.
Story.
It was very American.
It was very American at the end too, with the song, very literal about the unpacking, and
that was so.
Got the van pulling up front. Gonna put some boxes in it, or whatever. It was a very, it was very 80s sitcom theme song of like.
It sure was.
Yeah.
But
Dan,
yeah,
do you think it's fair to say that Chrono Cross is actually in the PS1 list of JRPGs? It's actually a little underappreciated compared to stuff like Legend of Dragoon and Xenogears. Like I feel like those have qualities of their own, but this one to me is a better game than those, but typically gets overlooked.
So like obviously, and I mean obviously I'm biased. I love Final Fantasy, so I would say that trilogy there is probably top tier, like 7, 8, and 9. But I would say Chrono Cross was probably right below that, and then you'd have like your Xenogear and Legend of Dragoon.
I think Legend of Dragoon gets way too much love than it's deserved. Like I've went back and played that. And I was like, ugh.
So the structure of the game is kind of like the world map is boring because it's just you're going from like dot to dot and it just kind of shows the world, but it's just like there's not a world map like in how the Final Fantasy games or even actually Chrono Cross has a world map.
Well, it also didn't have very timeless art design that makes you really appreciate good art design that's lasting because you're like, this still passes today. It still looks good.
I still think it looks good.
Oh, I don't think it looks
good. I mean, for a PlayStation 1, hold on. So I think it looks better than Final Fantasy 7. I think it looks better than 7 is rough around the edges. I mean, again, I love that game. It's my favorite, but the Chrono Cross absolutely, I think, deserves more love. I hope it's getting a remaster, and if it's coming out on a bunch of platforms, then hopefully it sells really well, and then maybe they can kind of look at Trigger and like do something with that, because like I've said before, I don't understand how we have not gotten more Chrono games. Like it boggles my mind. Like it's such a. I mean, there's only 2 of them, but it's. I guess if you can call it a series, it's a great series.
Yeah.
So I think we deserve more for sure.
Agreed there. Totally agree. Well, the Wheel of Time apparently is pretty successful, and I don't know what that means.
Speaking of time.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, good transition. I missed that one. Nice call.
Because Chrono in the game.
I don't know what success means. I'm assuming it just means that Amazon has hit streaming numbers that make them happy.
They're
I don't know
happy with the viewership,
But I guess because of that and because of other factors, they are in pretty active talks with EA to develop a live-action Mass Effect TV series. We have no idea exactly what that would look like. Of course, if they're in talks, that means they're probably discussing all of that now. Like, oh, we're going to tell the story from the original trilogy, or no, we're going to tell a story in that universe and tie in pieces, or no, it's going to be Andromeda. Like, who knows? But or it's going to be before all that stuff. Maybe it's one of the earlier waves of, without saying too much about it, early Reaper stuff, like way before.
Sure.
Who knows? They could do a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, because it's a cycle. I mean, I guess spoilers on those games, but it's a.
I mean, they explain it in the first.
The Reaper
game,
thing is a cycle, so I mean, you can just have it, from the previous cycle. Just cover one of those. It doesn't have to be Shepard.
Would you be able to choose? Would you be able to choose gender at the beginning of watching, guys? Could you choose a male or female?
I hope so. I really hope so. If not, I'm not watching it. But
absolutely.
I have. There's been some interesting reactions from folks associated with the game itself that are like, "Oh, this sounds cringe." There's been some reactions like that.
I mean,
but, who knows? Could be good. Could be
a former writer of Mass Effect, said something like that. Somebody that used to write at BioWare or something. Actually, it wasn't even a writer of Mass Effect. It was somebody that used to write on Dragon Age. So it was just kind of like, oh, you're just kind of crapping on fantasy being adapted in general. Gotcha.
Got it.
I don't understand this take though of like, I get that there's been a lot of attempts to make, movie or shows pertaining to game, like, but why does it just have to be out the gate like this is going to be garbage or cringe or what? It's like it's not, it doesn't even exist yet. How like, I mean, it's like with anything else. How do you have an
especially
opinion
with
about
this
something
where it's not even official yet? This is very early talks. We don't know who's going to be in charge of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, if you tell me like Zack Snyder's going to be in charge of the show, then I'll be like, oh, this is going to be terrible. Like, I mean, I know that off the bat.
Kyle would be excited. Kyle would be very excited.
As we know, he's Snyder's #1 fan.
Yeah, he is.
But like,
I've seen the tattoo. All right.
Yes, absolutely. All I'm saying. On his rear end, right? On his rear end.
But Amazon also has a Lord of the Rings TV show that's coming out in September of next year.
And they pumped a lot of money into that.
They did. Sure did. And the fact that post-production is going to take that long tells me the CG isn't going to be anything.
Dude, I've heard the budget
horrible.
for that is unbelievable. So I am excited for that. There's some potential of some cool
these
stuff
things have potentials to be these things have potential to be good. So it's just like everyone chill out a little bit until the thing exists. And then
I will say slight whine that won't bother most people, but it will bother folks who would like to watch this with their kids who love Lord of the Rings. Like my kids have watched Lord of the Rings with me. They love that universe. Sounds like this adaptation is going to be incredibly mature in a lot of different content areas. I'm pretty annoyed by that because now I'm going to have to either watch it alone and like try to edit and fast forward with them, or not watch it at all. I don't know. To me, that's just annoying because it should be more of a PG-13 in my opinion world, but whatever.
There's some pretty decent violent moments in Lord of the Rings. I mean, like the orc dude, that main one in the first one, getting his head just like lobbed off.
I agree, and I think that's about as much as it needs to be.
Sure.
We'll see what that actually means, and maybe that report is nothing. Maybe wherever I heard that, I forget where I read that. Maybe that's not true, and that'd be great because I know my kids would enjoy watching that with me too. All right. Speaking of Dragon Age, though, Dragon Age 4 senior creative director Matt Goldman has left BioWare.
I did not hear that.
So
why does this keep happening? Everything all keep leaving and going.
They mutually agreed to part ways, apparently.
That's according to his boss that sent an email out. So
did this happen
and
today?
The press release. This was like a few days ago. This was over
this week.
I literally, this is actually news to me. I wasn't even.
Dude, didn't somebody else just recently leave BioWare too?
It was Matt something, right? It was that Matt guy. He's been there like for a while. He left. He was working on Anthem. I think it's whoever was working on Anthem that has worked on the Dragon Age series. He left, came back, helped with Anthem. I think he has left again. I could be wrong. I don't know. Like people just keep coming and going from that. There's something going on with BioWare.
Yeah, man, dude. Something's weird. Something is weird.
Too much stress because like people keep saying for years that they're just not the same BioWare and they suck now. Like I don't know,
dude. It honestly could be, and I know we always make fun of phrases like creative differences, but it really could be that where they can't align on what this game's going to be, and that could be it. Like who knows?
That's what last year it was. Casey Hudson, and Mark Dara or whatever. They left in December of last year.
There you go. Yeah.
And like Casey Hudson was like producers on
Casey
Dragon
Hudson was
Age.
the OG, wasn't Casey Hudson the OG of all that
he
stuff?
left.
That was the person that left and came back and left and came back.
Yeah, he helped with Anthem and then apparently left again. So
that's because Anthem was horrible. All right, well,
can't blame him.
I mean, I don't know if this means anything for Dragon Age 4. I know that I believe that there was also some comment or statement about how like we're going to keep working on the game and bring it up to the quality that we all expect. Blah 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 blah. Like
there was a "this is fine" meme with the dog sitting in a house on fire.
Yes, this is fine. That's exactly what it was.
I mean, I'm just glad that they eventually said that they were going to make this strictly a single player game because early on the talk behind for the game was that it was going to be games as a service, and I was like, I'm going to burn everything to the ground. I swear to God, like, do not turn this into. So they've since then have been like, no, don't worry, it's single player game. But like, yeah, I don't know what's going on, dude.
I don't either. But hey, listen, they're not the only company having issues. PlayStation, who just put out a statement about Activision. They could be facing a gender discrimination and harassment lawsuit. Now, it could end up being nothing. Who knows? But a former employee is suing them for alleged gender discrimination, harassment, and wrongful termination. This is a quote from the claim. Sony tolerates and cultivates a work environment that discriminates against female employees who are subjected to continuing unlawful, disparate treatment in pay and work opportunities. It also alleges that their discriminatory employment policies, practices, and procedures are not unique or limited to any location. Rather, they apply uniformly and systematically to employees throughout Sony, occurring as a pattern of practice throughout all locations.
It's just one employee doing the suit. It's not like a big suit like with Activision, though?
It's implied that they're not the only ones who have had issues, but they're the only ones that are named in the suit.
Okay.
So there's not like a bunch of people that have bravely stepped forward, as far as I know. This sounds a lot to me like someone very disgruntled didn't get the promotion, and it could be legitimate. It definitely could be. It also could be a big load of crap because they just didn't get the promotion that they probably didn't deserve. Could be either way.
Sure.
It does not sound like the same thing that Activision is going through at all.
Right.
But when you see that a major video game company is facing some kind of gender discrimination or harassment issue, it's going to send up red flags right now because everyone is on high alert for this stuff. So I saw this headline and I was like, and then I read it and I went, oh, okay.
Well, we'll see, right? Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
We'll see. Could be nothing. Could be something. You know what is nothing is the Spider-Man content for Avengers. There's nothing there, guys. There's no story missions, nothing for you to do. But hey, you can use him in all the other characters' story missions. So have fun. Have fun doing that. All of you have been waiting for Spider-Man for now. What has it been? 1 year and 3 months you've been waiting. Here he is. He's arriving this week. Congrats.
I love Spider-Man. See, look, I love Spider-Man. So
yeah, you do. You sure do.
I can't wait to play this in like 2022 or whatever. I have time for it. I don't know.
You know, we should actually invite Spider-Man on the show to tell us about why they didn't include it.
I think he's too tired and lazy right now.
Yeah,
but
I get that. I get that. It's a long holiday.
He doesn't care.
Reach out to his people and see if we can set something up for next week. I know he's not doing much because there's no story.
So. Yeah.
Well, he's busy being for the new Spider-Man game that's going to actually be amazing. So
he's busy throwing a cup in the middle of the bad guys, and then once he's distracted them, jumping right to that same spot.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Which is, I mean, stealth mastery. Am I right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
That's just a great trailer. Top notch.
It's really so stupid. As soon as you pointed that out, I rewatched it after we recorded. I started laughing so hard. I was like, this is so dumb. Like,
I'm telling you. Watch the Kyle Bossman video where he's talking about that trailer, and it's just like everything he says is totally correct. Like it's dumb Spidey.
Doesn't mean that there's not going to be anything charming or fun about it. It's just overall a disappointment.
Yeah, some of the combat I've heard is like for anybody that's played, I played Black Panther. He's like a slightly more nimble Black Panther, which isn't saying a lot because Black Panther moved a little slow.
Okay.
But all the heroes move a little slow in Avengers. That's what's slightly off about that game.
Right.
It's like you can kind of have fun with it, but when you're button mashing, it's not as responsive as like Insomniac.
Oh yeah.
Games
and again, you don't really notice it until you start doing some of the larger kind of open levels, and there's kind of some optional things, and then you're like, I'm moving a little bit slow here. Like you don't really notice it at the beginning. It's when that game becomes something it shouldn't. That's when you start to notice that kind of stuff. If it had stayed linear, like Guardians, I don't think we would have. I think we would have loved that game.
Well, it's It is. Insomniac is better.
It is what it is. I thought this was interesting. There's a rumor that Sony could be planning a PlayStation mobile controller because of a patent that's been filed. And the design looks like a DualShock 4 kind of cut in half with the phone sideways in between. It's kind of what the patent looks like. And it does align with some of the stuff that their executives have been saying. They've been talking about some of their major IPs coming to mobile and wanting to open up to a new audience like they did with PC. So most people are saying this is likely going to be cloud related as they try to match up with what Microsoft's doing with all the cloud-based gaming, and folks want to get PlayStation Now, for example, on the cloud, get on your phone, and then get these phone attachments that are like a DualShock, and then play it like that. Yeah. I don't know if that'll be released or if that's a real thing, but there's a patent for it, so it's something. Cool. And Sony's the one who filed it, by the way. So
sure.
So there you go. That could be something. But I think this is pretty certainly going to happen. The same guy who leaked previous PS Plus games for the last 3 months has leaked the games that are supposedly coming out in December. They're not officially announced yet as of recording. We're recording this on Saturday night, 27th. So it's possible that these games won't be what's announced. But right now it looks like it's going to be Godfall, which is actually going to be like, I think it's called like Challenger Edition. It's some new edition that doesn't exist yet.
Right.
It's going to, I'm assuming, include DLC or something. And then, by the way, that would be the PS4 or PS5 version, depending on which console you have. You can download whatever version. Mortal Shell, which is the PS4 version, and Lego DC Supervillains, which is also the PS4 version. So that's what it looks like.
This is Derek's bread and butter. 2 out of 3.
I was going to say, did he make 2/3 of this list? Like,
yeah, I think he's the guy who leaked it.
Yeah.
I've played one of these games. I played the Lego DC one. That was a fun game. I actually like their franchise games. Yeah, I actually like the Lego franchise games. They're pretty fun.
I will say, if Godfall's on this list, then I will finally play it because I still haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, it's free. Why not?
Yeah, give it a shot. Mortal Shell, if you like Souls-like games, I do recommend it. I think it's a good one of those if you like those kind of games. If you don't, then don't play it. It's pretty tough. It's but it's it's got little elements of the Souls games, of the Bloodborne games, of it's got little elements of those things. And so if you like that stuff, I would suggest giving it a shot. It does look good, so I like it. I just didn't love it. It's one of those games where I beat a boss. I might have beaten the second boss, but I definitely beat the first boss and kind of played a little bit more. And I was like, I think I'm good. Like I get it, and I think I'm good. I didn't have motivation.
It did just go onto Game Pass actually, and I only played like a few minutes of it. So I certainly don't have like a definitive opinion on it, but like I don't know, I'm not feeling it to be honest. I think I just don't really care for that first swampy area. It's just kind of boring.
It's very dreary and
it's just boring. I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll go a little further. So
some of the concepts behind like hardening the armor and stuff is pretty cool.
Sure, it's unique.
It is unique. They do add that. I think that's a pretty cool layer to add to the Souls-like combat. Well, guys, listen. Don't be afraid. Nintendo's taken action. I don't know what this means, and they haven't specified what this means, but they've taken action.
Oh, of course not. Of course, they haven't said it yet.
In response to the Activision scandal. So there's this email from, which I still love that their CEO president guy's name is Bowser. It's so funny to me.
Doug Bowser.
I didn't know that.
Doug Bowser.
Yeah.
Anyway, an email from, as I like to call him, Mr. Bowser, states that Nintendo's representatives have been in contact with Activision and have taken action and are assessing others. Now, they haven't clarified that. I think they want it to sound like they're doing a step above what some of their colleagues are doing in the industry who are just saying, like, we're concerned. We think something should happen. We're concerned. Nintendo's like, no, we've taken action. Well, what did you do? Did you like shake your finger, wag your finger at him? Like, that's a no, Mr. Kotick. No. Like, what did you do?
Yeah, one of these. Naughty.
So I'm not sure what that means. I don't know if they know what that means, but anyway.
I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna sick Mario on them, but not like regular Mario. It's gonna be Chris Pratt Mario.
Chris Pratt Mario, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna sick Chris Pratt Mario on them, and he'll take care of it. So
yeah, he'll take care of business. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I do think there's got to be a breaking point for this whole story with Activision and Bobby Kotick and all these other companies, or maybe there's no breaking point. Maybe it's just, hey, let's ride this out until the news cycle moves on to something else. That could be a thing too.
Sure.
Who knows? But Life is Strange True Colors is coming to Switch before the end of the year, December 7th. You'll be able to play it on the Switch. I still think this is a great example of a game where if you don't have anywhere else to play it, great. It's cool that you can play it on the Switch. I just grabbed it on the Steam sale. I'm excited to play it this coming week.
I'm so pumped for you to play that.
It is the visuals alone on this game, even just from looking at trailers, you can tell like I want to play this on the best looking platform that I possibly can. And for me, that's going to be my PC or the PS5. And it was on sale on PC, so I grabbed it. Yeah,
I played it on PS5, and it definitely looks next gen, as next gen as those games could, Because so it's still not like, oh, this is real life, but it's the best that engine's ever looked, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah. So it's cool that it's coming to Switch. Just like we say this every time some multi-platform game hits the Switch. It's like, it's cool that you can play it there, but it probably isn't the ideal place to play it. That's all.
Sure.
But
through this, I just kind of go whatever to these type of release announcements on Switch, but this one felt like a good one because some people do like playing those type of games on the go.
Correct.
The Telltale Life is Strange type games.
And I bet it's one of those things that people will go, wow, this looks surprisingly good. It probably, because it's not like an action game. Anyway, we'll see what it ends up looking like. Their art style that they use for those games usually lends itself pretty well to a variety of platforms. So we'll see. We'll see how it ends up looking. I do recommend, though, that you log onto your Microsoft account, assuming that you have one, and go to the Xbox Museum. You can just Google Xbox Museum, and that should be the first result you see. And then make sure you log in, and you can explore what I think is one of the cooler ways to celebrate like an anniversary. It's their 20th anniversary of Xbox, and so they are doing a whole bunch of cool stuff. It gives me the same vibes as like Astrobot when you get to go through and explore some of PlayStation history. And of course, that's actually a video game, and it's an excellent little platformer, super charming. And lots of collectibles. That's a really fun little game that came with the PS5. And so, but this has the same vibe where you can explore this area and kind of see the history of multiple consoles. And they don't really gamify it so much. It's more just, it's literally a museum that you walk through, and there's these exhibits, these kind of giant posters that will turn and face you as you walk around.
It's right behind you, Tim.
It's right behind me. So you can click on a console. You can click on the original Xbox 360, the Xbox One, or the Series, or you can click on, there's like a little Halo section of the museum you can go to, or you can go to my personal Xbox Museum, which is really cool as well, because it'll walk you through your overall gamer score over the years, which consoles you've played on, what game you've played the most, what games you played the most by year. Like, it just kind of gives you some highlights. Like, here was your first achievement.
Jeez.
Here was your first achievement. And for me, the game I played the most, even though I've played Xbox for a long time, and I noticed some waves. There were, like, in 2019, I played it way more than I had in 2017 or 18. I was all PS4 and Switch those years. And then 2019, when I got my Xbox One, it spiked. I used it a lot more. So anyway, or no, I got the Xbox One after that. Anyway, you get the point. It was, for me, it came in waves. I think that's when I got the Xbox One X, actually. And Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was my most played game.
Let me guess that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm going to go ahead and
2019
guess mine right now before I even check it. Rock Band 3. That's what I'm going to say it is.
Okay.
That would be a good choice. That'd be a good choice.
Now you can tell that I stopped playing my Xbox on my account for a few years there, because for 2 years in a row it was Fortnite and Minecraft. And I can prove to you how little I play those games. If you ever play a game with me I'm awful at both of those games. On Minecraft, I wouldn't know really what to do or where to start, or like, I'm not good at that game, and I'm not good at Fortnite. So that's from letting my kids take over as I moved on to other platforms. But anyway,
I'm in my museum now trying to get the answer.
Yeah, it is.
I want to see what I played the most.
It is really, really cool.
Rock Band. It's actually the first one.
Ah, there you go.
That's the first game you played too?
Actually, that's one of the first games I played. Actually, I think that's why I bought the 360.
Hey, it's got Coheed and Cambria's "Welcome Home" on there, and that's a great song to play. I love that song.
Yeah, so it gives you, I mean, there's a card that kind of gives you the #1 game, your overall gamer score, total number of titles played. Dan, if you had to guess, how many games do you think I played across the 360 and Xbox One? If you had to guess. And this is played at all.
360 and Xbox One?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Never mind. It's not Rock Band at all. Wow. Okay.
I'll say 120.
I played 478 titles.
Oh, okay.
Across those two platforms.
Sure. I mean, I was thinking 2. It can't be that high, but apparently.
I
mean, that's counting anything.
Sorry.
Right?
It's counting anything. And if I think, back in 2007, one of the cool things in the museum is they talk about the Xbox Live Arcade, which was one of my favorite things. All those little games. I played tons of Xbox Live Arcade games. So a lot of those are going to be your little free games or little sampler discs.
I'm at the number closer to what Dan guessed. It's 190.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Rock Band? Is it
Rock Band 2 is my most played.
Okay.
My second most played is Minecraft.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
You're such a millennial.
You're a millennial.
You're
a millennial.
But everything after that is all Rock Band. It's like Rock Band 3, Rock
What's
Band.
What's your top genre? Mine's action and adventure, is what it says.
Right, music then, right?
And I think it's because after Call of Duty 4, one of the games high on my list was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I put well over 100 hours into with all the DLC.
Further down, I don't see it. Oh, top game genre is music because of Rock Band.
Okay.
I really ruined my stats playing Rock Band so much.
Hey, I mean, dude, Rock Band is awesome.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. It was a great time. I mean, it still is, but it's just
hard to play now.
It's not the same. It's not the same now. People got burned.
Well, I highly recommend, if you guys have an Xbox account, go check this out. If you're listening to this, it is really cool. I like when they put in an effort to kind of pause and look back and allow you as a player to look back on your own play history, and they even do embrace things like the Red Ring of Death and things that didn't go so great. I think it's cool that they do that. It's part of their history, so why not talk about it?
And I just forgot that the entire reason that I bought a 360 was because I was in Guitar Hero mode on PS2 for a long time, resisting the next gen after that. And then the 360 I bought entirely I bought the Xbox Rock Band bundle. So it came with the console and the peripherals and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, I mean, that was the entire reason I got a 360 was the first Rock Band. I totally forgot about that.
I mean, with the extra songs,
Wii. Yeah, people did the same thing with the Wii. Like, they bought that for Wii Sports, for example, things like that. So I get it.
Right.
Absolutely.
I get it. All right. Well, that does it for headlines for this week, at least. A relatively slow week. So we've kind of pulled some things that maybe weren't normally that interesting in headlines. But because it's a holiday week, at least for those of us in the old USA, for the rest of you, you're like, why do you guys celebrate this? I don't know, man. We get a lot of good food, and we get to watch football and movies. Shut up. Okay. We enjoy it. Who cares? I enjoyed my Thanksgiving. So, but do you think, and I kind of, It's more about Jeff, you and me deciding this together. Do we want to try a round of 20 questions with a game that Dan picked, or do we need a third person at least to do this? Do you think the two of us could do this? Because we had
I
that
don't
on the
know. With
schedule,
my
we were gonna
video
do
game
20
background
questions.
being more focused to the last 6 years, I don't know. Dan, do you think I would get it?
I don't know, man. They might be too much
Actually, let's just
ching
go ahead and
chong, as you would say.
I would never say that. I would never say something.
I would never
listen,
say it.
I say we give it a shot, but maybe Dan, you can decide if we get maybe as we move along, like maybe you can grant us like 25 questions to help.
This is not really obscure, so I think you guys could figure it out.
I think we can.
Okay.
I think we can do it.
Then I'm confident. Then I mean, even if it is a JRPG, I know the main, like quote unquote, the main ones.
You know, I do actually appreciate that you just assume it's a JRPG. I mean, you know, or
it sounded like
it
sounded like you alluded to the fact that it was. So
I mean,
I don't know.
It just sounded like
Hey, that should be our first question, shouldn't it?
Is this a JRPG? That should be our first question.
Yeah,
all right, let's
question
ask
one.
that.
Is it a JRPG? Yeah.
No, is it okay? So we're going.
Yeah.
No, it is not.
Dang it.
Wow.
Am I supposed to keep? I'm supposed to be keeping track of this, right?
You got to keep track of the number, yeah.
God damn it. Well, I meant like as far as what you guys are. Hold on.
As far as what we're guessing,
Yeah.
We can try to remember that together, but you definitely need to keep just the basic number at least. Keep track of that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so was this game released after 2010?
Yes.
Sweet. All right, Jeff. So it's within the last 11 years. So that's good.
Is it a PlayStation exclusive?
No,
Okay.
it is not.
Okay.
I just had to ask because of your background, you know.
Sure,
Yeah.
that's fair.
He's a
That's
little
fair.
biased. He's a little
That's
biased.
smart. That's smart. Smart.
Was it developed in Japan?
No, it was not.
Is this Daniel Freitas on the phone right now on the call?
See, I was trying to throw you guys off. I'm trying to throw you guys off.
All right, so it's not a it's not a PlayStation exclusive, not developed in Japan, not a JRPG. All right, maybe we got to nail down genre, perhaps, or console, one or the other. What do you think? What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, let's do console then. Is it multi-platform?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Unfortunately, that broadens it.
That's fine though.
But it still helps.
We could ask. I mean, we could ask like something about weapons, like what weapons are used, or like what perspective maybe. Would perspective help?
It has to be yes or no questions, right? Is that the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we ask about perspective maybe? Is this a first-person game? Would that be?
Yeah, that would help. Yeah, is it a first-person game?
Yes.
All right.
I don't like your fake hesitation when you know the answer. I hate that.
Well, no, because sometimes it's like there's like a hesitation for a second because it's like technically it's not totally a yes or no question, but yes.
Like the main
this
game
could
mode
be-
is first person.
This could be because it's not a JRPG, but definitely still could be a Elder Scrolls, like a Skyrim. You know.
Could be.
All
Or a cyberpunk.
right. Is this in a fantasy setting?
Yes.
All right.
I mean, it could be Skyrim.
It definitely could be Skyrim. So it's
We're on
it's not
8
gonna,
now.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other multi-platform games outside of.
I'm trying to rule out Skyrim without just saying it's Skyrim.
Correct.
Rule in or out Skyrim without just flat out saying it.
Well, we could always ask about, the development team. Was it developed by Bethesda? We could ask that.
They've done more than one fantasy first-person game, right?
They have, like they did Oblivion. I mean, they did all the Elder Scrolls.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say that's a series of games. So.
Yeah.
But the Skyrim was the one after 2010.
But we kind of ruled out Fallout. But we haven't ruled out like shooters. We could ask if it's a shooter. Let's ask if it's a. Well, we already said fantasy settings.
I almost Googled something and caught myself.
Good.
So I guess we should ask weapons, like if
we know it's a fantasy setting, so it's got to be swords and magic and stuff.
Okay. All right then. All right.
Did Bethesda develop this game?
Yes.
All right, so it's got to be Skyrim then, because anything
Or
before
an Elder
Skyrim
Scrolls.
in the Elder Scrolls series was before 2010, right?
Was Oblivion before 2010? Yeah, it was. You're right. Good call, because Skyrim was 2011. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it's Bethesda fantasy setting. What else did they develop? Anything else? All right, is this in the Elder Scrolls franchise?
Yes.
I don't know how else to narrow it down.
Yeah, I guess we could just say, is it Skyrim?
Is that the question?
No,
Yes.
wait, because we don't want to fail. Hang on.
I mean, you still have 10 more, so.
Yeah, if it's a no, then we just keep going.
No,
Is
we
that
lose.
no? Oh, okay. Is that what
Really?
it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you guess, you lose.
Okay.
All right.
Then that's not my question. I take C's back. C's a question.
Has this game been re-released like a ridiculous number of times?
What do you constitute as ridiculous?
Yeah, I know that's too vague. That's too vague. All right. Oh, didn't it just recently get that re-release that people were talking about? Jeff, wasn't Skyrim?
On the anniversary edition, which was like on the new
And did this just get an anniversary edition released?
Yes.
All right, we're good.
Okay.
We're good. If
Is it
there's
now?
another Bethesda fantasy game that's first person that had an anniversary game released just recently, then we deserve to lose. If that's the case, is this Skyrim?
It is.
All right, you got it.
Although it would have been hilarious if they just re-released Oblivion for some reason, anniversary, and you were like, "Well, it has to be Skyrim." Then it's actually. But yes, it is Skyrim. Yes, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Yes,
Skyrim.
Nice. Good choice. Good. Yeah,
that was a good one.
I thought it was fitting considering Kyle. This was actually also for Kyle, so R.I.P. Kyle.
R.I.P. Kyle.
He would have gotten it in like 5 fewer questions.
Yeah.
Oh
exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Kyle and I are balls deep in a chunky slice of Skyrim right now, and it's
a sentence.
Yeah, it is.
And you said it.
It's a wonky ass game, but it's fun. It just is. I don't know. It just.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine who lives in the area. We used to work together, and he talks about like that's his comfort food. He'll go back to Skyrim all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if he's that interested broadly in tons of different video games, but that's the one. Like Skyrim's just his game. He goes back to.
There's just something about that setting because I remember playing Oblivion on PS3, and I liked it, but I did not play that nearly as much as I played Skyrim. There's just something about Skyrim. I think it's the mountains and like the snow, and the music is really good. It's haunting, and like sometimes when the clouds part and the sky actually looks really nice for like how old the game is. Like the sky is actually really beautiful, and but man, that combat is just it's missing something.
That's usually when I fall off, is when I get into actual combat where I'm running into enemies out in the open while exploring. I'm like, oh, that part's not fun for me. Could be that I suck at it. Sure.
Honestly, you could say that for me. You could say that for all the combat that has Bethesda's name on it that doesn't involve id Software.
Dude, you're right. Like I was the same way with Fallout. I was like, Fallout's kind of cool. I like the setting, and I was exploring, and all of a sudden I got into combat, and I was like, oh, I don't really like this.
Deathloop has good combat.
That's true. Arcane Studios is good. It's pretty decent at it.
Well, and Dishonored. Dishonored are good games.
Dishonored is fun.
It's just Fallout.
But like whoever, I thought it was id Software that did Wolfenstein. I was trying to lump them in and say, okay.
Yeah.
Machine Games.
Yeah,
I think there's somebody else now.
Machine Games.
Well, whoever does Wolfenstein nails it.
I think
I like their combat better than Doom, and that's Doom's bread and butter.
I think doesn't id do Doom, and Wolfenstein is Machine Games.
Yeah.
It used to be Wolfenstein though. Way back in the day.
Gotcha.
The mechanics of Skyrim specifically, I really like the mechanics. Kyle and I are actually going to do like a Skyrim like Chocobo Central episode, so that'll be fun.
Of course you are.
But like the actual mechanics is really fun. I don't know why more games don't kind of choose like games that are first person that have like not guns, like anything outside of guns, where like each hand is doing two completely different things. Or you can combine two healing spells in each hand and do like a stronger healing magic. Like it's just the actual mechanics of it are really cool. It's just not. It just feels like a lot of times you're flailing. Like when I go in, because I do great swords a lot in Elder Scrolls. So when I go in for like the heavy swing, it just feels like I'm swinging at air. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel punchy.
Right.
So I hope they fix that with 6. For sure.
Yeah, I got you. And it's also something about first-person melee combat that rarely works for me. There's something about that too.
Right. Yeah, and you can switch to third person, but it's even jankier. So
You know what's
Yeah.
interesting is that if it were third person, and listen, I know not everyone loves Fable, but if the combat were like Fable 2 or Fable 3, which I
Mm.
loved the combat in those games, yes, it's very simple. But if it had the deep layers of all of Skyrim's lore and the exploration and all the stuff you can do, but then if it felt more like a little more arcadey, a little more fun, a little more accessible, like Fable,
Yeah.
and it felt satisfying, that combat feels very satisfying, man,
Yeah.
then it probably would be right at the top of my personal favorites. But
Yeah.
anyway, what can you do? That's not what it is. It's not for me, guys. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah. And
Well,
not
let's
every
talk
game
about-
is made for every person. That's okay. It's okay to accept that.
And I'm
That
playing a
is
game right
true.
now. I'm playing a game right now that is not for every person. So let's talk about a few things that we're playing. Prison Architect. I started playing. I was on Game Pass. I've always wanted to try this game because it's like the inverse of the Escapists, which is one of my kids' favorite games. They love playing the Escapists too. Where of course the whole idea is you are a prisoner and you have to go through your routine every day and like figure out. There's all different paths you can take to escape from the prison, and there's all kinds of scenarios and stuff. It's very goofy, very silly. Well, Prison Architect is on the other way around. It's more of the prison management side. So you've got it's a little more of a city building type of thing where you're managing the prisoners and trying to keep them all there. And so if you don't like stuff like your Sim Cities and that type of thing, then you're not going to like this because that's what this is. You're supposed to like set up the right spaces, keep everyone happy, keep everyone safe, all of that stuff. But I really like it. I think the gameplay system they have in place is awesome. It's also surprisingly mature. So like there's a campaign that they're doing at the beginning, and it's not super lengthy. You can actually get through the campaign little missions pretty quickly. There's not too many of them, and then you can at that point just either join an online game or start your own kind of sandbox prison to build. But dude, it's super mature. Like it starts out right away with you having to put a guy to death for killing both his wife and the guy she was cheating on him with.
Oh, jeez.
So
Wow.
that
You
gets
have to
dark
kill
real
Andy
fast.
Dufresne?
and it goes back to yeah dude. Yes.
Deep cut.
But
And
it does
Dufresne.
like these cutback scenes, and if you've seen even a picture of what Prison Architect looked like, it's very cartoony with like little characters that are like they're just a little shape with a little head on the top. Like
Yeah,
they
I
do
just
not.
pulled up
It's
the screenshots.
it is not
Huh.
realistic at all. But then it will cut to a very very serious cut scene, but then it will show these little like old school comic book pictures of things happening, and it's like, oh, that's pretty violent. Okay.
Yeah, it does look top down, very cartoonish, but I can see in the screenshots it does get very bloody if there's riots.
It's very bloody. Yep, very quickly. So I think it's a lot of fun. If you like that building management style of game where you're upgrading stuff and unlocking new abilities and getting better, gear for your guards and your training, whatever else, I think it's pretty fun. And it's on Game Pass for PC. So I think it's worth a shot if you like that stuff. I think I mentioned this a few episodes ago. I was just getting that kind of city building itch. This is the kind of game that kind of scratches that. While I feel like I'm in between some kind of grand AAA epic experience. I don't know what's next, what I'm going to play next. Life is Strange might kind of lean back into that, where it's a big story, a big linear story.
That's kind of what there's a game that I'm playing. I'm kind of jonesing for a linear story, and that's the only reason I'm playing it. It's not even a great one. It's linear.
Yep.
And it's kind of like Life is Strange,
linear.
so I want to play it.
So Prison Architect's doing that for me. And other than that, it's been, dipping in a little bit to Halo Infinite's multiplayer, which I don't have a ton of thoughts on because I kept getting some menu errors. It kept loading up weird for me. And then like all the menu options would all of a sudden just be blank lines with nothing written there. Like it happened to me probably 5 or 6 times in a row. And I was like, you know what? This is fun. Like I played a couple modes, just kind of quick matches. And I mean, as always, the Halo games play great, even if you suck. Like I'm not great at these games, but I was still having fun. Like some of the modes are a lot of fun, and my kill death ratio in most online shooters are typically even. Like I'm usually same amount of deaths and kills after like 10 matches. I'm usually so I'm not great, but I had a lot of fun. But the menu started really going wacky on me. So then I was like, all right, I'll come back to this later. I'm sure they'll patch it. It could be because I'm on PC. It could be I just need to I might need to reinstall it. I don't know. But yeah, those are the main things I've been playing. A little bit of Halo, but a lot of Prison Architect. Still playing Forza, doing the seasonal stuff, which is a lot of fun. They've got a series that they do. If you play a lot of Forza, you know this already, but I didn't know this. They go through. It looks like it's about a month, maybe 2 months long of series, and then within each of those, there's about a week long, maybe season. And so within each season, there's going to be a series of challenges. Some of them are nearly impossibly difficult. Most of them are doable. And you unlock points, which then you can apply towards a special unlock, usually a rare car. which is kind of fun. So I'm jumping in Forza every once in a while to do that. Tried to play online with my son. The reason why this game is certainly not a perfect game for me is because of the online struggles it's having right now, whether it's with randoms or playing, like we set up a convoy and tried to join a game, and it was, not only was it complex to even start something, but it was very, very buggy. Like we could not get it to work right. We did this mode called Infected, but everyone is kind of staying still. And the Infected is supposed to be kind of like freeze tag. That's with cars. Is basically what it is. It's a pretty fun little party game.
Okay.
But the way it just wasn't working. Like you would tag a car and it would say you infected them, or they've infected you. But then the healing mechanic wasn't working, which is kind of like a freeze tag where you unfreeze your team to try to stay alive.
Yeah.
It wasn't working. It wasn't registering the right cars. There were some cars that I know they were online playing, but they weren't moving. So there was something with the online component in Forza that's buggy. They need to fix that stuff. So that's the problem. It is. But still, overall, like that's kind of my comfort food game at the moment, where I'm like, what do I play?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do a few races.
Yeah, that's a good excuse as to why I'm never gonna uninstall that game, not anytime soon, at least.
Yeah.
Because it's just,
I love it.
Yeah, and you can jump into it anytime and be like, oh yeah, that's right, this game rules.
Yep. Absolutely love it. So that's been most of what I had planned on playing more Mass Effect 3, but ended up letting my kids use the main TV with the consoles where Mass Effect 3 is installed way more this week, which is fine. My daughter's getting into Zoo Tycoon. She loves that. And then all the kids are playing Escapist too, like I told you. So that's kind of been there.
It's quite the variety of things there.
Yeah.
Like a lot of different things.
Yeah. So what about you, Jeff? You mentioned you were playing something with the story. What is it that you're
Halo Infinite though is I didn't, last time we did a show and the multiplayer launched, I didn't touch it at all. But I did get a few matches in, and yeah, I can definitely second all of the very positive things that have been said about it. But it's not like I went into it expecting it to be bad. It's still Halo, and they're just doing what they do exceptionally well. Right. They added a few other modes you could try out if you want to, but I haven't. I've only been doing quick plays, and then it'll just throw me into a match that's either just Slayer or it'll be the whatever the ball hog thing is.
I like the oddball. The oddball mode is pretty fun.
Oddball's fun. And the fact that you can just melee a dude once and it just knocks him down. Like, why are you getting close to me? It takes one hit for me to take you down when I have the ball. But yeah, it makes you feel, the game just does an incredible job at making you feel useful on your team.
Yep.
Whereas, Battlefield 2042
is a shit show.
I'm just dying every 2 seconds when I play that game. So it's not every 2 seconds. It's more spread out. But you know what I'm saying. Like anytime you spawn in, expect to die soon after.
Dude, and I second that. It's not that Battlefield is a bad game by any stretch. If people love it and they're good at it, more power. This is not trying to say you shouldn't enjoy it. I never enjoy it for exactly the reason you said, and I never thought about it this way. I don't feel like I've got an impact in that game. It's a combination of the maps are too big, there's too many players, and I could drop out of the game and they wouldn't notice. Like, and I know that sounds pretty self-centered, but like that takes away the feeling of like, I'm a part of this online experience. In Battlefield, I don't feel like I am. And something like Halo or some of these other games, even like Rocket League, like you have a lot of weight on your shoulders to help your team, and it feels good.
Or even Call of Duty. Not to give Call of Duty too much credit, but it's like the smaller amount just works for the frenetic kind of nature of, like, it feels like Battlefield has almost been trying to lean in that direction, but still be like strategic and like sneaking around and kind of, because like you said, the maps are huge. So maybe you kind of want to play it like it's like you're really in like kind of being dropped in this like freaking war zone and you want to sneak around, but it's like then you get shot and you kill nobody, and it's like you just did all that crawling around for nothing. Like, what was
I played a match of Battlefield. I probably spent a total of, it felt like, I don't know how long the match was. It felt super long. It might have only been 10 minutes, but it felt like an hour.
They can be pretty long now, yeah.
But I drop into the closest spot to the action that I possibly can, and I'm still running, sprinting, looking for a vehicle, trying, like, dude, I spent most of that game just trying to get to where the action was.
Right.
I finally get there. I see, like, okay, we need to defend this spot, and I get sniped. And then I have to start back where I was before. And I was like, this isn't fun. Now, I realize they do have the mechanic where you can spawn by teammates and stuff. Like, I know they've got those mechanics, but they don't always work. There's not always someone available. I would say about half the time I have to spawn farther away than I want. And now I have to, like, start legging it so far across these maps. Yeah. It looks good. Some people like the way it plays. It's not my personal favorite style of shooter, but Halo to me is much different. It starts the match. and you're right there in the action. And the maps are, I think they're built really well. At least the ones I played. I think I saw probably 5 different maps, maybe 6.
I kept
and
getting in the same one, but it was still a good map, so I don't really care.
I just thought they're so well designed, and they're small enough that it's like, all right, I'm not overwhelmed, but they also don't feel, it doesn't feel like you're playing on Rust. Remember the old Call of Duty map Rust, where it's like you can see everyone essentially at the same time.
Right.
So it's not like that. But anyway,
yeah. The thing with Battlefield is, I respect games that feel like they need to evolve, and Battlefield has done it really well. But Halo adopting the "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" policy is a good policy to adopt. And I feel like they've just nailed it in terms of Infinite, and me not playing Halo multiplayer, especially in years. I mean, I don't even think I played it in 5. I just wanted to get the story out of the way and move on to the next game. It just felt like, riding a bike.
Yep.
And it shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like a new game that's been many years away from the last one I played.
Yep.
It shouldn't feel that way when you expect the game to be totally different when you put. But it makes sense that they wouldn't change it. They want to respect the gamers that are coming back after years away.
Sure.
Yeah,
so,
man.
I
Same
love that
here. Like I went around a corner, I saw a guy, I brought up my aim as I was shooting and started sprinting towards him, and then finished him off with the melee. Like it just all of a sudden was like, oh yeah,
it's instinctual.
The Halo thing. Yeah.
You're like, I can see your shield is that, like you see the visual of their shield going down, so you just tried sprinting towards them and just melee them, and it takes them out right away. Yeah.
Yep.
It's just instinctual. Like you just, oh yeah, that's right. I did this all the time when I was like in high school or whatever.
Should I be taking notes, or because this is
or like came around a corner and a guy, like my shield was already down from having been in the firefight. Another enemy comes around the corner, and I start doing the thing where you jump and you're aiming down at him, and that works too. Like it's annoying, I realize, if it happens to you, but it's one of those things that I wouldn't do that in Call of Duty. I'm not going to be like Jim from The Office in Call of Duty and sit there and hop in the corner. Like that doesn't. You don't do nearly as much of that in those types of games. But in those games, it's much more about the horizontal movement and then sliding and all that stuff. This one's much more about lots of jumping and accurate. I don't know. I like the way it feels. I know it's not for everybody. Some people hate the length. What is it? The time to kill window, like how much time how many bullets it can take to take down an enemy. I think once you get used to that, it's fine. But I can see how if you like
recharge is pretty fast. So.
If you like hardcore modes where it's like one shot, one kill, super realistic, that's cool. Those can be fun. This just isn't that kind of game.
Yeah, I don't have that history with Halo, so for me, it's like I've played a few matches here and there, and it's fun. I don't like, and Kyle was saying that's just what Halo does. I don't like the going into quick play and it just choosing for you whatever. Like I kind of just want to do deathmatch. That's just, I prefer that, and it doesn't let me choose that. So it's kind of like, all right, well that's kind of annoying. At least let me choose. But I know that's not the Halo thing, so I get it. I respect it.
I feel like there's a way to pick. I guess I haven't dug into the menus deep enough because they kept walking out.
I haven't at all. I think you can specify.
I thought there was a way to pick.
Okay, maybe there is that, but I swear I poked through it and I was just like, I am not seeing where I can just check off deathmatch or is it called something else in Halo?
Slayer is just regular deathmatch, yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'll look out for Slayer. So
yeah, I thought that you could, but anyway, all that to say, I think overall,
I did the same thing as you, Tim, where you're just doing quick play and you're just satisfied with whatever it throws at you.
Yep.
But the linear narrative game that I've been throwing myself back into is Last Stop, and it's on Game Pass, so I've been playing on Series S. And before, when I first started playing it, I just described it as low rent Telltale because it does feel incredibly low budget.
Yeah, I thought you gave up on that one.
I did, but I don't know. I was just kind of craving just a story with dialogue choices and walking around, something simple, but there's still
Sounds like there was one more stop. Am I right?
It turns out there was more than one Last Stop. But the game follows 3 characters mainly, and I'm on chapter 3 on all 3 of them. I think there's 6 total chapters.
So there's 18 total chapters because there's 3 characters, or
6 chapters for each character. The chapters are really short. They're like 20, 30 minutes.
So you do them in order. So if it's like about the 3 of us, do you do like Dan chapter 1 and then Dan chapter 2?
Yeah, you have to go through everybody's chapter 1 and chapter 2 first before you can move on.
Okay.
To the next chapter.
Okay.
But each story is different. It's like a Twilight Zone thing where they're not yet connected. They could be by the end of the game. I have no idea yet. But one of them's like a Freaky Friday thing where somebody does a body swap. That's one story. Another one is like there's this we still don't know the Twilight Zone aspect of it, but there's this spy person who works for the government at some military branch, unnamed military branch. And I still don't know what. We just know that she's unfaithful, like she cheats on her husband.
What a whore.
And
what a whore.
I mean, that's all we really know about her, and that she's competing with somebody that's younger than her at her job. But I'm sure there's going to be something that opens up, and it becomes like there's an alien or something. And then the other story is these kids find a guy that's like, it's hard to explain. They find this like mysterious guy in like an empty abandoned like warehouse or pool area, and he's doing something weird where he's lighting up the water all green, and they're like, what the hell's going on? Is he attacking somebody? Because he went in there with somebody, and now that person's gone. So they knock him out and kidnap him, basically, just hold him there. And that's like, I'm in the third chapter now. He's still there, and they're still holding him hostage. And I'm like, he could just leave at any time, but he's like one of those he's kind of one of those weird guys who's got like this energy where he's just very passive about everything that he says and stoic. And he's almost like he's there on purpose.
It's part of the mystery.
That's a weird story. That's a really weird story. But there's some interesting stories in the gameplay. If anybody play, especially if like somebody like Derek turned it on and played it, he'd be like, "This is so stupid. What am I doing with my time?"
Sure.
And I get that if people were turned off by this game, because it's gameplay wise, you're just running around and selecting dialogue options. That's all it is.
Sure.
I just want that in my life right now.
So if I'm going to play a game like that where I'm running around selecting dialogue, I'm going to go get Disco Elysium, because that's a game that keeps popping up on my recommendations.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, do I get it? I think it's on sale. It was like $10 off on a Steam sale. I was like,
you got the final cut now.
It doesn't go super cheap. Like that's one game that the price stays pretty high on Disco Elysium. It doesn't usually drop super low. I was waiting for it to be like $5. That game has stayed above definitely 20, but probably 30 in most sales I've seen. So I was waiting for it to dip down. I think right now it's 20, I want to say, on the Steam sale. Maybe it's time to grab it. Because I know Kyle and others have had nothing but amazing things. I think it was
Kyle.
The
writing is incredible in that game.
Yeah,
it's all about the dialogue and
exactly
because some novelist wrote the dialogue or whatever.
Yeah, so because Last Stop, I don't know if it was a combination of what you said about it, but also other reviews I've read on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tell you what,
I'm just like, at least it's free. It's kind of scratching like a linear itch for me.
If you finish it and come back and let us know that hey, it's got an actually pretty satisfying conclusion to the story, all right, I'll give it a shot. But tell me about Games for Impact. I mean,
I try to do this every year.
I
try to do this every year where I see the games that are nominated for Games of Impact or Games for Impact, whatever the hell the terminology is, at the Game of the Game Awards for the Kojima Awards that Jeff Keighley runs.
The Kojima Awards. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
But are you?
Didn't even win that much that year. But I try to because I like to feel things. I like Pixar stuff. Things like that make you feel things that are guaranteed.
Emotions.
Yeah. But some of the games I've already played, I know Life is Strange True Colors got nominated and could win. I don't know. But that one's a really good game. And there's another one that I already played that I think Chicory. I think that one, right?
Yeah.
Was that one of them?
I
was like, what's the impact there? That you want to go play another game? Like, it's really impacted me.
Dude, your dislike of that game is so funny to me because it feels like a game that you should like.
It feels like it should. Yeah, like it's super indie. Like I don't know. It feels like it should be an obscure title that I won't shut the hell up about. But that's the reason that I don't like it more is because people won't.
So it's Before Your Eyes, Boyfriend Dungeon, Life is Strange True Colors, Chicory, and No Longer Home. Those are the 5 nominated.
Yeah, so I already played 2 of them. So the other 3 that I played, that I tried over the last week, No Longer Home was one that I played like 10 minutes of, and was like, oh, I don't like this at all. So I turned it off.
You no longer wanted to play it?
No longer.
It is no longer installed. That's what it is.
What is it?
Because it's like a It kind of reminds me of Kentucky Route Zero in a sense, where it's kind of like blocky people and in an environment that's somewhat undefined, and you're seeing a lot of space stuff, and they're trying to be. Yes, sounds like pass. No, at least Kentucky Route Zero has this weird David Lynch type story and world building.
That seems interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, the story is really interesting in that game. But this one is just like these 2 people. It starts with a prequel that's like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes long, and they're talking to each other about their own identities. and they both go, I don't really feel like they both say something about their gender. Like, oh, I don't really feel like a boy or a woman. And the other one says the same thing. And then they go, wow, I wonder how many planets out there have people on it that are talking about this exact conversation like we are. And I'm like, what? What? What kind of segue is that?
Space, man.
Some of the dialogue is like very try hard in like a way that people tend to laugh at indie games.
Yeah.
And there's really just not a whole lot going on in it. Like you have the option eventually of moving the room that you're in around, so like you can look at it a different way and interact with a window that's on a different wall. Okay. And then you can turn it around a different. It's stupid. I really didn't like any of that stuff. So obviously I uninstalled that crap, and then we're talking about it way too long. So
let's talk about something Derek would probably love, and that's Boyfriend Dungeon.
I want to hear about Boyfriend Dungeon.
Oh, I thought you played it. Oh, damn. I actually like this game.
It's like a it's like a little old school hack and slash, right?
Yeah,
beat 'em up.
It's straight. I mean, obviously it's a dungeon crawler, so you.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's more to it. Obviously, like I think people described it as a dating sim, or even maybe the developer described it as a dating sim dungeon crawler.
Yep.
And the dating sim stuff is interesting. Like this game takes place in a world. I'm kind of on the fence about the concept of it. The game takes place in a world where people can turn into weapons.
Right. Sure. I knew your boyfriends were your weapons. I knew that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Some women can change. So the person that you're playing you can decide if she's going to be bi or whatever. You can decide that in the game. So some women can do that too, or whatever gender can turn into a weapon. Not everybody can turn into a weapon though. So I mean, that's the weirdest part to me. Like, I'm like, why did you add this? You could still do a dating sim without having me grab a dude who's a weapon
and just beating the shit out of somebody with them. Like,
but everything else about it is like actually cool. Like the dating sim stuff could work. You just don't have to include the weapon stuff.
I like that quote by itself. You could do this without having me grab a dude. Like that quote.
A dude who's a weapon. Like it's really weird to grab a dude's weapon.
Why are you objectifying me? Literally.
There's other concepts though. Like the first tutorial has you go to the mall, and the enemies that are spawning are like people's fears in the mall and stuff. Like it could be people's social anxieties or something causing monsters to appear. And I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, that's a cool way to generate monsters in this world. Otherwise, that wouldn't make sense. And it's kind of an open wide thing too. Like you can always go back to your apartment after you die or whatever, because of course you're gonna die in this game. It's kind of like a Hades in that way. Like you're expected to die, get XP from your run, and go back to your apartment.
Okay, so it's got the roguelike elements to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then when you leave your apartment, you have like the whole city open wide. Like you can go to different stores and stuff if you wanted to. Go on different dates. So I actually like this game, even though it sounds really stupid. Like all of it sounds so stupid.
It just sounds quirky and weird, but it's like if it's fun to play, and you know.
Again, I don't know the impact. I don't. What's the impact?
I'm guessing it has to do with the
dating
kind
part.
Of fluidity and who you date and who you love. That's my guess.
Yeah.
That, and I guess it's an entire game about consent, because you're not just grabbing things. And if you do, the person goes, "Whoa, you can't just grab me like that," or whatever. Because the weapons will talk to you, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't. Some of the things make you roll your eyes about it, but most of it's fun. I can't believe I like this game.
Anyone who needs to hear the message about consent is going to play this game?
No, they're going to turn it off and uninstall it like within 2 seconds. They'll be like, "This is the dumbest crap."
That's what's so funny to me about certain messages in certain games. It's like, who is this for? Because the people that you need to hear this are never going to play this game.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever. It's
fine. It's going to be lost on everybody that needs to hear that message, I guess.
This one is one of those games that's easy to make fun of because the concept is so silly and it looks so ridiculous, and yet it also kind of looked like, I bet you this is kind of fun. Like
it's really fun. And again, Game Pass, man.
Oh, is it on Game Pass?
Yeah, this is on Game Pass. I played it for free.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, thank God.
So basically, this is going to be one of the main things on our thumbnail, is what you're saying. Just that shirtless guy in the front, right? Just have him as like.
Actually, the artwork is actually pretty fun. Whenever the weapon does turn into a dude, and reveals themselves, the artwork is really fun. It reminds me like of like 90s arcade games or something. Like it's hard to pin it down.
All right, Tim. Boyfriend Dungeon's going to be on the thumbnail. I'm just letting you know.
If you could actually, for our Game of the Year episodes, if you could make sure to have a good unpacking and boyfriend dungeons combo. On
Yes.
the cover.
Just felt like a shoe from unpacking in it.
Be perfect.
Well, I'm just gonna
have
get I'm gonna get the box and just
the
have
box
the
with a little
dude
and
poking
have a
out.
boyfriend. Yes, have the boyfriend
poking out of the box. Yeah.
There you go. Before Your Eyes was the only other one that I played, and I got all the way through. It's like a 2-hour game, and it's like $5 on Steam. And this one you have to use your webcam for. Blinking is a big part of. I think this is the only game that's ever done this, where blinking is a big part of moving the story forward.
Okay.
And the webcam does record your blinks. They calibrate it right at the beginning of the game, so you can tell that the game is picking up your blinking correctly. So they kind of iron out all those details at the very beginning before you could have any technical issues going forward.
Okay.
But I didn't have any issues with the blinking part at all. I actually didn't have any issues with the game at all. It's just it's actually a pretty cool idea. It's just the fact that it's clearly an indie game in the sense that it felt like a very small team worked on this, and they meant to make it like a cinematic type experience where it's like 2 hours and you're done. Would have been cool if it was something longer, but I guess I get it. You can only make a game about blinking for so long.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But there is a reason for the blinking. Like they explain it at the beginning. Like you kind of start in the game as a soul that's been plucked out of the water by this ferryman, so they call him. So you're this person that's already died, and he plucks you out of the water as a soul, and he's like, well, I'm going to use you to go up to whoever it is that admits you to heaven or whatever, and use you as an example to get in a good word with myself. Like they're basically trying to use you to further their career as a ferryman, I guess.
Okay. So he's like Charon, right? Isn't that his name? Charon?
Oh,
anyway.
From Hades?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. I don't know enough about. I didn't play enough Hades apparently to pay attention to
Well,
that.
and it's also just like that Greek mythology.
Yeah, I think there's a mythology person that it's a mirror of or whatever, at least.
Yeah.
But so that's like the start of the story, and so he kind of tells you, okay, I have to know every detail about your life now. So basically, you're just reliving this dead person's memories.
Gotcha.
And each blink takes you further into their life, like each time you blink. So there are some stories you have to sit there for, and like you can't blink. They're not trying to torture you or anything, but it's not like a super long time you have to not blink.
Yeah.
But there are some where it's like you'll hear a character say something, and if you blink, it goes right to the next screen, right to the next scene. But if
blink
you stay
you'll miss it.
If you stay on that screen, something will pop up on the screen that shows as like you can interact with it.
Dude, knowing that I'm not supposed to blink makes me want to blink so much.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm like, wait, my eyes are getting really dry.
At the very end, God damn it, this is an emotional game. It's such an emotional game. At the very end, I think they're encouraging you to blink and react a certain way by the very end of it. Because
blink
it's
with
like
tears?
the way it's swat. Yeah, I mean, God, I was
Blinking
crying so hard, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm a little.
Hey, man, it's happened sometimes, dude. Sometimes,
If Derek had been able to join us tonight, this is when he would have hung up the phone.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
it would have been sitting there all just angry, I just want
to thank you on behalf of our entire host group as well as the listening audience that you're playing these games, so no one else has to. So I do appreciate.
I hope at least somebody else plays before your eyes, because I felt it was an interesting enough concept and the story was really, really good.
Yeah.
It's to the point where this is my favorite for the category, like because I felt like it fit the impact part perfectly in terms of gameplay and story. Like it's doing something interesting with the gameplay, and the story is just like gonna just knock you on your ass.
And that's fair to say that for that category. It doesn't mean that it was your favorite game of those. It's just for that category. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I was looking at purposes. I was looking at the best game of the year list, and I finished half of them. So I finished Resident Evil Village, Psychonauts 2, and Metroid Dread. I've played a good amount of two of them in Deathloop and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, although I haven't finished either of those. And I haven't even, as Jeff would say, diddled It Takes Two. So I need to play It Takes Two because I would feel bad, of all like that one. I need to try it.
You can't diddle that by yourself, though. You got to diddle with a friend.
I know.
Yeah, me and Kyle have been talking about wanting to play that game ever since it came out, and we haven't done it yet.
Still not happening. And that came out like in March.
He tried to do it couch co-op with one of his roommates, and his roommate was just like, this is not for me, dude. Because it's just a super quirky, weird game.
Yeah. I tried playing with my wife, and she's just not as like, much of a gamer, so to speak, as I am. Like, so there's definitely certain moments where like she's just like there's a part where like this like you're fighting a certain like insect that's large because you're small, and like she just couldn't get the twitch shooting part of it, like because she's just not used to playing something
that
like
makes sense.
So,
that makes sense. Yeah.
But
am I the only one that might end up having to defend Rift Apart on this podcast?
No,
I beat it.
like I said with Deathloop, I've played a lot of it. I actually played more of it. I played a little bit more of it this past week. Like, beautiful and fun game. Like I will.
Oh my gosh, dude!
I'll try to give it its due diligence. I haven't finished it. I also don't think it's. I don't think it's the best game of the year, but I do think it was great. It was really great. I like it better than Deathloop.
Fantastic, man. Yeah, I mean, I do too for sure.
Yeah. But Dan, anything that you've played over the Thanksgiving week?
So mostly watching, which we can discuss in a moment. Arcane, which, dude. But I actually,
right?
Well, I haven't finished it yet, but goddamn, it's we'll discuss that in a second. But
I think we might be in the same boat then. I'm not done with it either.
Yeah. I re-downloaded actually the 2019 Modern Warfare, which we were talking about a second ago.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because it was half off, and I was like, you know what, like this. I'm not a Call of Duty bro, but like that game, I actually like the multiplayer. It is fun. And I think it's like the best controlling Call of Duty that they've ever made.
And I think it might be their best campaign personally. I loved that game.
But... And I haven't really played, like I've definitely played less than half of the Call of Duties overall. So I just don't have like the most like detailed experience with the whole series, but it's just great campaign, but like I think the multiplayer is fun.
Multiplayer is good on that one.
Smooth, like just the running to like just kind of sliding just feels good. The shooting feels good. It's a fun game to play. And then like
you support the abuse of employees at Activision.
Yes,
that's cool.
Absolutely.
That's good to know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm pro abuse, definitely.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm pro abuse.
Yes, I'm pro abuse. But
can't get anything done without it. Am I right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can't make the big bucks unless No, never mind.
It's probably better that you stopped.
Yeah. But Skyrim also still just playing that a little bit. I backed away from Forza a little just because I was playing a bit more of Skyrim mostly. Yeah. But the wife and I, actually speaking of, because you were mentioning Prison Architect, and I was like, building stuff. That DLC for Animal Crossing, my wife and I have been playing. It's actually really fun, and it's actually pretty meaty. Like it's a good chunk. It's a chunky slice of new stuff.
Chunky slice.
And it is actually really cool because it's a whole separate island, and it's almost like So in the main game, you can have, was it 10 people on your island, 8 or 10, which isn't too much. But on the vacation island, basically, you go to the vacation island, but then like when you pull up, like you're like, all right, I'm going to offer this person a vacation home. It'll pull up a grid. And there's essentially 30 spots. So you can have at least 30 people on the island. Vacation homes. Yeah. And then later on, you can actually do like, so you can do roommates. So you can actually split some of those homes in half, and then have like 2 people living in the same home on 2 different floors. So, but yeah, it's fun. I mean, if you like Animal Crossing, it's definitely like enough stuff where it's like, oh, okay, this actually feels worth it to spend the money. Or if you paid for the expansion, which we did, we just got the expansion, and that DLC just comes with it, so we didn't have to pay extra for it. So
it's funny you bring up Animal Crossing because our 3-year-old brought in, I don't know where he found this. It was tucked in some toy box or some bin somewhere deep in the bowels of the house. Who knows where he got it from? But he brought in, it was like we have so many little DS or 3DS cases, like little travel cases that the kids have used over the years. And this one actually still had a working 3DS XL. So I was like, ooh, let me take
like
that.
The actual system?
So I had the system, but it also had a bunch of games that I thought were just lost. And I was like, it's a bummer that I lost. But I keep my most important ones in my case. That's in my room. Like for example, my DS copy of Chrono Trigger. No one's taken that. That's staying.
No.
So, which is, by the way, the best way to play Chrono Trigger, I'll still stand by that, is the DS version is amazing. Anyway, in there was Animal Crossing. And so that essentially has now become like a Christmas present for my daughter, who's been very interested in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
But I thought, hey, we already own this one. I don't want to spend another what is it? Probably $50 if I wanted to get it on sale.
I think it
now
has
for
gone on sale like once in a while, but
a 45 or
yeah,
something.
probably like 40. Yeah.
But anyway, we've already got it on the 3DS. We got the 3DS version, and I've heard that people who love Animal Crossing love that version. So
Sure.
I'll just throw her that one and see if she likes it. But
Yeah.
that was a
yeah.
that was a
This
nice
is the only
discovery.
it's the only Animal Crossing I've ever played, so I can't compare to the older ones, but yeah, it is fun. And it's with the vacation homes, it's cool that you don't have to like go collect resources to build the things like you do on your island. Like you have to go like find stuff to like build the new like dresser or whatever. Like on the vacation island DLC, you basically are just like you just have access to those things. So it's
Gotcha.
just kind of fun to sort of, just mix and match things, and you don't have to worry about all those extra details. So
Nice.
yeah, it's fun.
Nice.
It's fun.
Yeah, and by the way, for those who are listening, you have until I believe Tuesday night or Wednesday this week. So if you're listening to this shortly after it comes out, the Steam sale is still going on. There's a lot of really good deals. I spent a little money there. I also went to CD Keys, which, listen, some people don't like sites like that because they feel a little sketchy. They're probably not run out of the USA.
Depends on the buyer or the seller that you get it from. I mean, just check the ratings, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Check the ratings. But I kind of splurged a little bit and got I've pre-order in for Elden Ring now for Steam, and I've got that's where I bought Life is Strange, was from there as well, and a few other games for super cheap, even cheaper than the current Steam sale version. And all it did was give me the Steam key, and I unlocked. So it's in my Steam library now. I just bought it on a different platform. So all that to say, there's some really good sales still going on if you want to pad out the library a little bit, like I did. All right, let's close things out with stuff that we're watching. I'll mention real quick before you guys gush about Arcane, because I do want to hear about Arcane. We went to see Encanto, the new Disney movie.
I'm excited for that.
I do highly recommend it. It's very sweet little movie. I don't think Disney knocks it out of the park every time, but this one's a great one. Like obviously it's going to be compared to Moana a lot because it's got Lin-Manuel Miranda doing the music, and
My
I
God,
believe a lot of
he's so busy this year.
a lot of the same people are involved, I believe, because a lot of the art style, there's some similarities. And even when it first starts, I was kind of like, didn't we just see Coco? Like, I feel like a lot of this is, but it
gave me Coco vibes. Yeah,
it's very different. It's got its own. It's got its own thing. It's not music. Like Coco's very music centered, and even though there's still the family vibe, and yes, they both happen to be from Hispanic countries. One's Mexico, one's Colombia. One is really centered on the culture of Mexico. This one's just about this family, and they literally could be the story doesn't have to take place anywhere necessarily. Like it's just about that specific family. So so anyway, it's not really like any of those other ones. I thought it was really great, very sweet, kind of.
I can't wait to see it, man.
Good message in the end and all that kind of stuff, and the songs were great. Very my son actually said to me as the credits rolling, he was like, "That reminded me of a lot of like the Hamilton songs," and I was like, "It's the same guy." Same guy.
I hope it would.
And he did Moana too.
I'm out.
Well, have you seen Vivo? Have you seen Vivo?
I haven't watched it. Haven't watched it yet.
Because that's another Lin-Manuel movie.
Right, but
also Tick Tick Boom, he directed that. He's super busy this year.
I don't know. I think there's multiple versions of him. That's what I'm convinced of. Like,
Tick Tick Boom's an interesting one because he directed it, but it was somebody else's script, and the play or the musical had already existed before, so they're not his songs.
And it's based off of a guy who wrote musicals.
Rent. Yeah, so, it's like based on the guy that wrote Rent primarily.
Wrote Rent specifically. Yeah. So anyway, I do recommend Encanto. It's really good. I don't recommend Home Sweet Home Alone. We watched that on Disney Plus. But listen.
Who saw that coming? Nobody saw that coming.
But you get what you pay for, I guess.
That's true.
It's direct to Disney Plus, original movie. Listen, my kids laughed really hard. They thought it was great. They loved some of the modern updates to some of the stuff they do with some of the hijinks. It's pretty bad. It's not like Snow Buddies level bad. If you ever watch those
Snow Buddies,
if you ever watch those absolutely horrible movies, it's just it's just not great. It's
my brother was telling me that the thieves this time, the Joe Pesci and Daniel Stearns of the movie, if you will, had a legitimate reason to break into the house and get something.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to make
you're like I'm kind of rooting for them now. Like the kids being kind of a dick to them.
They're almost the hero. The whole thing is now a misunderstanding as opposed to two mean robbers trying to come in.
Yeah.
So it's all a misunderstanding, sort of, and they are kind of more the heroes because you really get their story, and his is a pretty straightforward. Was left home alone and parties, and then notices creepers coming in his house and fights them off. It doesn't really dig into the kid. Like Macaulay Culkin was the centerpiece of Home Alone.
Yeah.
And this one's not. So it's different. But listen. it's what you expect when you get a remake, or I
It's
guess
true.
you could call. They do a funny callback with a certain character who was from the original movie. I thought that was kind of funny the way they did that.
It
But
was Biff, right? Is it the brother
or Buzz?
or Buzz? Yeah.
Buzz, yeah. Biff is Back to the Future.
Back-
Yes,
to the
Back to the
Future.
Future.
So,
Thank you.
Listen, I don't necessarily recommend it, but if you have kids and nephews, whatever, nieces and nephews or whatever, if you're going to be around kids in the holidays, it's not a bad one to sit and watch with kids. There's a few funny moments. Ellie Kemper is super charming as one of the
Well,
robbers.
of
As per
course.
usual.
And actually all the actors are fine. It's no one's fault. It's just not a great movie, but it's not.
I'm bummed by that because the cast is actually pretty good. In terms of comedic actors, I'm like, oh, that's a good cast for.
I always have to separate myself from Tim, the movie critic isn't even a thing, but Tim, just me, the individual watching it, and then me, the dad sitting by my kids, laughing at dumb things like someone farted in someone's face and they're dying laughing.
I mean, that's a good time.
I'm gonna laugh with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was
it's
just
kind of like those Minions movies or whatever. You're like, this is the worst garbage ever, but my kids love it.
Dude, I legitimately like that first Despicable Me movie. I'm not even gonna lie. I think the first one is actually decent.
I like it too. All right, so anyway, I do recommend Encanto highly, and we're gonna rewatch it once it's out on streaming platforms. I really want the subtitles because the songs especially move so fast, and they actually do a lot of background and setup and character development in the songs, and it can be tough to track with what they're saying. And this is very Lin-Manuel Miranda. He did it in Hamilton too. That took me multiple watches to kind of pick up on everything that was being said and communicated. So
I had to watch that with subs a third time. I think I watched it.
This is gonna be a good one. Even my kids said this too. It'd be fun to watch it at home because I want to read the words. I couldn't understand what they were saying in that one song, and so that doesn't mean you can't understand the movie. It's just one of those things where you're like, they explained something right there, and I think I missed it because it was so fast.
And you know that Lynn's wordplay is gonna make it super.
The wordplay in the song, you'll love it. If you
super
like
amazing too. Once you finally
wordplay
understand
in the songs is really really great. So I liked it a lot.
In terms of things we're watching, there's also sales on Vudu is what I primarily use, VUDU, to buy movies in 4K quality. Because that app just gives me the best quality on my TV. But yeah, they're doing tons of Black Friday sales or Thanksgiving week sales, and I bought Free Guy, Black Widow, Quiet Place 2, the first Quiet Place, and Inglourious Bastards for $25.
Does that sync up with Movies Anywhere? Do you know? Or
I think
Prime?
so. I think so. Because Movies Anywhere is like, did Walmart buy them or something?
Or does it sync up with Prime? Because I like when you can have shared libraries across those accounts.
Actually, let me check. I think it does sync up with Prime. I think I did turn on synchronization on that. But it also depends on the studio, because sometimes the movie studio will be like.
I feel like it's Lionsgate or someone won't let.
Yeah, someone won't do it. Where are my movies? Now I have to find my movies. My stuff. Here it is. Purchases and rentals. Movies. Yeah, they're all here. Actually, they're not all here. The Quiet Place movies are not here. So I guess it depends on the studio, but yeah, it's synchronization. Yeah, you can turn that on from Vudu.
Nice.
Or I guess Movies Anywhere does that for you. It syncs all the movies across like YouTube, Vudu, and Amazon and stuff. That's pretty cool.
I mostly want to hear about Arcane, but give me like the elevator pitch for 8-Bit Christmas and Beatles.
Oh, 8-Bit Christmas is super easy. It's Christmas Story with Nintendo.
Oh. Is that out already?
Oh, with Neil Patrick Harris?
Neil Patrick Harris.
My sister and her fiance were telling me about it.
I didn't know it was out yet.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max. It's entertaining, man. It literally is Christmas Story. Like Neil Patrick Harris is explaining to his kid what it was like when he was a kid, and he really, really wanted to be the neighborhood kid with a Nintendo.
Yeah, the trailer hooked me on this one. I want to see this one.
Yeah, definitely see it because it's got nostalgia, and they talk about the Power Glove and how everybody was so hyped for it, and how it ended up being a piece of garbage. And
all the neighborhood kids are gathered at the one kid's house who has a Nintendo, and they're offering him stuff. Like that's great.
Yeah. It's actually. I mean, it's a good family movie. I think honestly, there's a lot of good family humor in it. Even just watching it alone, I had a good time with it. Just for purely
I didn't realize that was out already. We gotta watch that one.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. Beatles Get Back, I just had to mention because I dedicated 8 hours of my life to it, and it's really long. But Peter Jackson directed it in the sense that he took all the footage, and it was like 160 hours of footage, and he chopped it down over several years and restored it to like HD or whatever, Ultra HD 4K quality. And it looks amazing. And if you are he's having the camera problem again.
God damn it.
Is this the one you just told Kyle to buy? Because this is not a good ad for it.
Yeah, exactly. Kyle, don't do it.
All right, so this is a docuseries. The Beatles get
Yeah,
back.
it's in 3 parts, and
Okay.
they're all like 2 hours, 2+ hours each. It just depends on your tolerance of one of the arguably one of the best bands of all time, just sitting around and talking and trying to iron out their details on what would become their final album.
So I'll
They
say
didn't know it
something
at the
that some
time, but
people don't like when I say this, but they don't actually hear what I'm saying. I still think the Beatles are one of the most important and influential bands of all time. There's
Yes.
no doubting that. I do not sit there and listen to them on repeat as one of my favorite bands to listen to. And I don't know how to say that without insulting people who love the Beatles. Like, I don't necessarily think of them as one of my favorite bands to currently listen to now because I don't know what it is about the old style. Something about it that
You
just doesn't
acknowledge
do
their
it for me.
importance. I mean,
But dude, I think they are the linchpin, and they changed music in a way that very few other acts could
yeah,
ever claim to have.
that's
I
what I
just
was
don't. I
when
just
I was
don't put them on my Spotify
I was
playlist.
explaining it to
Yeah.
Kyle that I adore their songs from like a songwriting perspective, even if like I can't
Yes.
bear to listen to some of them sing. It drives me crazy. Lennon's
Yes.
voice is just good God, man.
Yes, but they wrote songs that now people have copied for decades and still copy to this day. And
Yeah.
people would listen to it now and go like, "Oh, it sounds like everything else." That's because they did it first. They did it before
Yeah.
anybody else.
yeah.
They did. And you know what? The movie explains they're trying to set everything up in the first like 10-15 minutes of the movie to explain why the Beatles are where they're at in their careers, because they're all like in the 30s when they filmed this footage. Everything that they accomplished was in 1 decade. That is insane. That is insane. To become
That
like
is.
one of the biggest bands of all time, to the point where you're playing on a rooftop in your last performance and people don't even need to see you, and then they haven't even heard the music before, and they go, "That's the Beatles, right?"
Yep.
They know it's the Beatles. They don't even need to see them to know it's the Beatles.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's some really cool moments in it. You could see some of the bickering too. George Harrison quit the band like a few days into rehearsals for the rooftop performance. But you could see how quickly things kind of spiral and change, because it wasn't supposed to be a rooftop performance. It was supposed to be something else, like a TV show or something like that. And it was supposed to be like a big return for the band, but ultimately they ended up, disbanding in the fall of that year. So they didn't, it's a good peek into what ended up causing the breakup of the band. For some people, that it's already documented pretty well what happened, but
Yeah.
it's still cool to see. Most of it is them just being cool bros. That's like most of it is them just dicking around a guitar.
Because people
playing.
have done the drama pieces of it before, the Lennon assassination and all the things that. So that's interesting to me that it's more, from what I've heard and what you're saying, it's a lot of just behind the scenes stuff that a lot of people haven't seen pieced
Just
together this way
casual
before.
conversations.
That's cool.
And
so if
my
you're a Beatles
favorite-
fan, it's a no-brainer to watch.
Yeah,
this.
even if you're a moderate fan like me, because I don't have the history on any of this, some of this was very enlightening for me. Like watching them like play horrible versions of their songs on purpose just for laughs. That was just the best part of all of it. Like they were playing the two of us wearing raincoats, that song.
Yeah.
And they were doing like Scottish accents during it. We're on our way home. Instead of doing that, they were going, "We're on our way home."
Yeah.
It was
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Dudes who were messing around.
Yeah.
Just jamming.
So it's just the best parts of it were like them just being bros, and yes, there is some bickering that they did capture, but like and some of my favorite parts are like the more passive aggressive moments where like Paul McCartney is explaining a part of his song, and you can see the other bandmates are just bored to tears.
Like, all right,
what we're gonna do, get back. Yeah, get back. It's gonna be great. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the arrangement. And John Lennon's just like, just like falling asleep in his face. It's just so funny. Yeah. So it's worth it for those people that are fans like I am, basically.
And you guys chatted about Cowboy Bebop a little bit last week already, or no? Did you not?
I don't remember, because I think it dropped on Friday.
I haven't watched it yet at all. So
yeah.
I know Kyle finished it, and I don't want to speak for him, but he has emphasized that he liked it, and he doesn't know why critics hated it. But he can expand on that later. I'm halfway through, and I really like it.
Yeah, it's definitely because the actual anime is like, it's very has like a cult following. So I think this pretty much was just doomed no matter what, as far as like those people just they're sitting there with their arms crossed, like, yeah, all right, go ahead, do it.
Well, I remember trying to start the anime. This was a long time ago, and I could not get into it. I'm wondering if I could watch this show and enjoy it, not really knowing anything about the anime.
Sure,
I think you'll appreciate the style, because I know that the style is obviously borrowing from the anime, but it's also doing its own thing separately in terms of color and use and stuff like that. So I'm getting a lot out of it. I mean, so far, I'm
having not watched, you haven't watched the anime either, right?
I only watched like 4 episodes of the anime.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with like some of the stuff they were copying from or adapting from those episodes.
At least the styling of it, right? And the characters a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, maybe I'll give it a shot if I can do it without needing any background on the.
I'm enjoying it. John Cho is really good for that role, and the guy who plays Jet Black is I've only seen him in like Luke Cage. He's great. That's a perfect role for him. And Faye Valentine's she's a mouthy lady. It's
sure.
She curses up a storm. But
she's not half naked, so blah blah. Yeah.
Right.
That's all right. Well, tell me about Arcane, because if you tell me that there's a show or game that's League of Legends related that I should care about, I'm not going to believe you. But everyone's talking about Arcane.
Yeah, I think Dan and I might be somewhat at the same. I'm 4 episodes in, so I just finished the 4th one an hour ago.
I'm like just dumbfounded by how amazing this show is. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's like I literally don't care. I don't care about MOBAs. I've never played a MOBA. I will never play a MOBA. I don't care about League of Legends. Holy shit, this show is fantastic.
And you, so you went into this knowing nothing, just starting.
Yeah, literally, and that's okay.
Because
I kept hearing that. I'm sure Jeff, you did too. That like people were saying like, no, don't worry, you don't actually have to know anything about League of Legends. Like, you could just jump in and watch this. I don't actually know what the direct connection is to the game. I don't know if it's like just set in the same world or like
these are characters in the games.
Okay, so they are
like
directly from
Vi and Jinx or whatever her name is before that.
Powder.
Yeah, I think they're
so those are heroes you can use in League of Legends, basically.
I don't know if they're playable or not, but they're certainly part of the story in the game.
I gotcha. Okay.
At least that's what I Googled very briefly. I didn't want to look into it more than that. I just want to know what was the connection here.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, like, oh my, the visuals are just insane.
Stunning.
Like,
yeah.
It really is. Like, it is just like, I think maybe you said it's kind of like Spider-Man, but like minus like sort of that like overlay of the comic booky look to it.
Yeah.
That Spider-Verse had.
Right. And they were going for like a comic book thing where it was like kind of like I don't know. It was almost like borderline stop motion, where every frame was kind of like janky in a way.
Yeah.
On purpose. They don't do that here. It's definitely a blend of what I read is it's a blend of hand drawn and CG.
Yeah.
And it shows. Like, you can see the hand drawn like characteristics, but they CG'd the crap out of the actual animation, and it just looks amazing, man. It's unbelievable.
Really does. It does. And the story is really like so I finished episode 4 yesterday. So
okay, we're in the same spot then. That's cool.
Okay, so
yeah. So episode 4 does a time jump, which is really cool. I love that about the show so far.
It gets dark, which again, I didn't have any expectations. I didn't know anything, so like, yeah, it doesn't pull punches. So it just, something happens at the end of episode 3. You're like, oh damn, like, okay, they did that, and then it jumps ahead. So then there's sort of like kind of what's going on. I don't know how many years. They don't actually specify.
You can just tell by one of the characters being grown up, basically.
Yeah. They're definitely like older. But yeah, it's them younger in the first 3 episodes to kind of just get to know the main characters. I mean, there's 2 specific ones that are important that then go into the time jump. But and then there's like this whole story arc with like, so like science seems to be a really big thing in this world. And magic is like kind of like forbidden, it seems like.
Yeah. I think magic users, kind of like with Wheel of Time, with how women can only use magic because men get corrupted in that show.
Okay.
Or that book or whatever. It's kind of like the same thing where magic users are kind of like born with it, the ability to use it.
Yeah.
Right. You can't, and this one guy wants to manufacture magic.
Basically. Yeah. He wants to combine science and magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just anybody can use it for the betterment of mankind, not for like corrupting and doing bad things, which is what their concern is. They're like, this is dangerous. Like we can't just like be giving magic to anybody. He's like, no, I want to make this so people can have their lives be easier, and like so there's like kind of like
it doesn't always work out that way though. It's just it's kind of like Tony Stark developing the nuclear whatever weapons. And...
Sure. I mean, there's obviously shit's gonna hit the fan, obviously.
Of course. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a show, right? You have to have somebody be overly noble for some reason, so you can have it backfire.
Yeah, it's just the writing is definitely very good. The characters are very interesting. The time jump of like the two main characters that carry over to that time jump, that dynamic is interesting. I'm curious when they like kind of meet back up, like how that's gonna go down. It's almost actually a little bit of, I don't know if you would agree, because her name is Jinx now. Is that what it was in the time jump?
Yeah.
Almost like Harlequin vibes a little bit, right?
A little bit,
kind of.
She's
just
definitely
really kind of really twisted.
Yeah, she's definitely got some mental instability because of what happened when she was younger.
Yeah, a certain reason, but it's absolutely worth watching. Just
this is Netflix,
yeah, Netflix.
And they got Haley Steinfeld to voice Vi, who's like the main character.
And they've already announced season 2. It sounds like. Huh?
Yes, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
That always helps me want to dive into a show if I know that, hey, when this season's over, now I can go. Like, there's something about that I love knowing that more of it's coming.
That's what Kyle and I are worried about with Cowboy Bebop. Like, he loved the season, and I'm liking it a lot.
They have not announced another.
They have not announced anything with that show, and we're like, come on, man. Yeah. The amount of bullcrap you sequelize. I mean, come on, bro. Give us a Cowboy Bebop season 2.
Yeah. Speaking of follow-up seasons, I am planning on rewatching The Witcher, because we only have about 3 more weeks until the next season of Witcher.
It's back. I can't wait. That comes out. Does that come out the same day?
I want to say it's the 19th.
There's another show that comes out around the same time that I'm as excited about. I don't.
Well, you guys have me sold to try Arcane. I am going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
It's the day before. The day before The Witcher, MacGruber comes out.
MacGruber. There's 9 episodes of Arcane. They're 40 minutes long, give or take. Some are like a couple extra minutes, so it's not super long.
I'm wondering if it's because they do expect it to kind of take off and they want it to eventually be on syndication on like Cartoon Network or something like that.
Yeah. Dude, I honestly give me like 6 more seasons of this show. Like, I don't like it just looks really good, and I'm telling you,
I can't believe how good it is. It's not right. Yes. Anything attached to League of Legends has to suck by association.
I know. I know. That's my assumption. That's my default position. But that's cool. I'm glad that it's good.
Shockingly good. Absolutely.
And the score too is like,
yes. Although,
oh my god,
I don't like that intro song of like, what is that like?
Oh no, it's like a
Neon
pop,
Dragon song, like, whatever it is.
It's like, almost like isn't it an Imagine Dragons song? I'm pretty sure it literally is Imagine Dragons.
Yeah. Like,
I think it is.
Give me the orchestral thing. Like, why do they have to do like some Imagine Dragons nonsense?
Yeah,
like,
because all the orchestra stuff was like just amazing when it swells up during the epic scenes
Enemy.
and stuff.
Enemy, it is Imagine Dragons. All right, so there's one con about the show.
But at least you get to use a skip intro button.
Yes.
Put that to use for once.
All right. Well, that does it for us this week. A lot of sales. Don't forget those. A lot of sales coming up. Make sure you treat yourself if you need to. That's what I've been doing. And grabbing some games here and there as we get ready to start. I know, Jeff, you're getting ready to head into vacation, but I am getting ready to jump back into a full week of work again. So that'll be fun. But thank you guys.
R.I.P. you.
Yeah, I know. Poor me. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being here. Derek and Kyle, Godspeed with whatever you're doing, wherever you are.
Godspeed, Spider-Man.
We miss one of you. All right. Have a great week.
Guess which one?
See ya.